Welcome to Conversations with Toy, a blogcast tackling life one episode at a time. This is the time to air out life's craziest moments. This space is all about speaking about life's hang-ups and ways in which we can leave better than when we started. Topics are all about ways we can find space to be better in life, love, mental space, and health.
Happy Friday. I hope that you have had the most amazing week. Thank you for tuning in to Conversations with Toy. I am your podcaster. If this is your first time, I don't believe that things happen just by accident. So if this is your first time being here, I want to welcome you. I hope that you find this space to be welcoming, to be warm, and that you will also be able to see yourself in moments that you've experienced when it comes to mental health and wellness, as well as the different things that we talk about, because we do talk about things that happen on these internet streets and everything in between. So welcome. I am just glad to have you here. I'm not only a podcaster, but I'm also a content creator, blogger, freelance writer, a lot of hats around here. Also married and with 3 beautiful children. So we got a lot of things moving around. It is now August. This is just an amazing new month is ahead of us. I can't stress enough that, when new months come, I hope that you are doing your due diligence to make sure that you are doing all the things that needs to be done to make sure that you have or focus enough to do new things. Like, I want you to do new things, try new things. With it being August the 2nd, it is also International Beer Day for all of my beer drinkers. It is also National Coloring Book Day. Now, the reason why I want to bring that up is that coloring books can be used, at least I have used it to relieve stress. It's something about stepping into your creativity that opens you up. It's almost like being a kid, and you go and you start using, they have adult coloring books that you can use, and I highly suggest that you add that to your self-care. It's just about taking a moment for yourself, literally learning how to take a moment to breathe. And again, that creativity is going to be everything. It's also National Ice Cream Sandwich Day and National Water Balloon Day. So you have your national holidays. And if you're thinking and wondering, why am I talking about the national holidays? I'm going to share very briefly for those who are new that when I was going through some of my toughest times, I started to find joy in looking at the national holidays to see what weird, wacky days were happening. And in that, I found joy and found something to celebrate every single day. Now, does celebrating a national holiday, is that going to take away your stress? No. Is that going to make your, anxiety go away? No. But it does help to put in perspective that there's always at least something to be grateful for. I want us to also steer away from this whole, I'm so grateful to be alive. Now, hear me out. Not telling you not to be grateful for life, because, people are leaving this earth day by day. I think in the last 2 weeks, there's been so many deaths. It's been so overwhelming just hearing these different death announcements, right? So I'm not telling you not to be grateful for life. What I'm telling you is not to be grateful only for life. If I ask you, what are you grateful for? You say, I'm alive, I'm here. I want you to say that, but I want you to also have something else to accompany that. Like, there's something else that could be keeping you here. There's something else worth waking up for. And here's the thing. Just the fact that you're awake gives you another opportunity, and you are worth getting up every single day and trying your hand at something else. Yesterday might have been a disaster. Listen, my week ain't been weekend. My week has been doing the most. And if you're new to this podcast, you probably will hear me say every Friday about how crazy this week has been, because that's just how life goes. But with that being said, I just know that life is still existing, and there has to be more than just us simply doing the bare minimum to simply get by. So I want you to find joy. What's on today's To Be a Fly on the Wall segment? My fly on the wall moment has to go to whether or not Governor Shapiro will be the vice president that will accompany Kamala Harris to the White House. I hear, in case you're not aware, I live in Philadelphia. I'm here in Pennsylvania, and I have done a lot of campaigns with Governor Shapiro, and I don't mean presidential campaigns. I'm simply talking about just working with him and his team. He is phenomenal. Here's the reason why I started even working with Governor Shapiro. I don't understand where everybody else's issues are coming from, but for me, I've seen him operate in a level of integrity, just a level of integrity. And I say that because he was the um, attorney general here in Pennsylvania, and then he was now the governor. And let's say he does go to become the vice president. I think that if we're talking about someone who's is about getting shit done, if you don't know, that is his slogan, getting shit done. He has transformed Pennsylvania in the small amount of time that he's been our governor in ways that no other governor has had. He has embraced the fact that social media does exist. He does all the things that concern like getting with the people, talking to the people. He's not one of those governors who you just, if you ever walked up to him and you said hello, he would just ignore you. No, he's going to speak with you. And I feel like knowing that we would possibly, again, I say possibly because I don't have an inside scoop, even though I do know his team very well. They do know me very well. All I can say is that the speculation is gearing up because Tuesday, Kamala will be here to announce who is going to be her vice president. Do I think that it's Governor Shapiro? I do. I think that many people want it to be him, and I think that's going to be good. So we'll have to see. But again, that is my fly on the wall. What is going on? What is the conversations looking like when it comes to will Governor Shapiro run as vice president to Kamala Harris? That is going to be very much interesting. But I do know that most people like myself probably deal with some type of politic burnout. I am a poli-sci major. That's what I graduated from Penn State University. And if you are Penn State University, you already know the answer to we are, and that answer should be Penn State. With that being said, I will say that as a political science major, I have a little bit more of a in-depth conversation and thought process when I'm looking at the polls. I'm looking at the numbers, and I'm just looking how just how things are going, how systems are run, and that's the way that I'm looking at it. I am seeing all the political foolishness that you're seeing. I'm seeing all the hoopla. Trump was doing the most this week at the NABJ, which is the National Association of Black Journalists. I strongly believe that they should have never had them there. And here's the reason why. One, because I haven't seen him be about anything that made sense. Nothing about anything that he has said in these last few speeches that I've heard are even coherently correct. So this lets me know that sometimes people are voting because they like the candidate themselves and they're against the ideology. Like, let's say, for instance, that you're against Kamala because she's Black or because she's a woman. I feel like anybody that's voting for him could possibly be doing the same. And I have no problems with that because there's many people on my side that are going to vote against him because they don't like him. So I don't have a problem with that. I'm not cutting off friendships because of that. I feel like we should be able to be grown people and put our big girl panties on and our big boy shorts or boxers, briefs, whatever you want to wear. And I feel like you should be able to, again, have conversations. Now, I do believe that if you come off as a racist undertone, now that we might not be able to be friends on because you're doing the most. And who gets to decide who is racial undertone? I do. And anybody that looks like me does. So it's just how it is. I know that people who don't have a political science major or political science background or have never really delved into the lanes of politics. I will say this has been a circus show. I will say that. It has been an absolute circus show. There's things that's happening now that has never happened in all the years that we've ever had public elections. Like, has never happened, has never crossed the mind, has just never happened. And it's mind-boggling sometimes as a person who has studied it to look at this stuff and say to myself, what is going on here? Okay. So that is very much true. I want you to do whatever you have to do to take care of yourself because mental health is real. And if you need to step away, here's a couple things that I personally do. I go to reliable sources. We're talking CNNs and other sources, vote.org, things like that. That I'm going to go to find substantial information for the information that I'm trying to seek. If I see somebody make a meme about something, I'm going to make the information. If Kamala and their team sends me things, because they have sent me things in the past, the first thing I'm going to ask is give me a website that I can research it first, because I never want to bring something to somebody else that's not well researched. Okay. When you're talking about research, again, reputable sources matter. Your social media, when you're going to like the Hollywood Unlocked, the Shade Room, those things are really not it. So I need you to find a way to, you can look at it and have a hearty, a kiki, but that's not where you want to be. I just want to stress that out. But we didn't come here to talk politics. I just want to send that little message that whatever you need to do to take care of yourself during this time, I support that. I hope that you support yourself in that. And again, it's okay to take a break. It's okay to say, I can't do this. It's okay to say, you know what, I'm out. I can't do no more. Whatever the case may be, take care of you. What I'm reading, what I'm watching, I am still deep into the Evolving While Black. If you don't know what I'm talking about, that is last week's episode for our premiere episode of season 11. This is episode number 2 of season 11. And we had Keontae Lomax, as we talked about her book. We talked about the ways in which it helps to see oneself and creating safe space. And nobody needs to see more safe spaces this week than the NABJ. NABJ, I'm gonna make sure I said that correctly. The National Association of Black Journalists. I think that the weight of everything that has happened just this week with just that alone has been very dramatic. And I'm praying that people who were in that space directly are getting, are taking a break or whatever they need to do. And I hope that the people who decided to make this as their like call to action, I want y'all to figure out what y'all game plan is going to be. Like, are you stepping down? Are you coming out? Are you going to do what you're going to do? Because there's no reason for that to have happened, and under no circumstances. The verbal abuse that I heard, the foolishness that I watched, it was very, first of all, it was very becoming. I didn't see anything that was out of the ordinary, let me be very clear, of Donald Trump, unfortunately. So again, I'm all about, keeping everything one and the same. If there's something about Kamala Harris that you have that you want to share with me and we can back that up by some facts, I'm here for it. Because again, I'm going to ask you, where's your source? Tell me your source, okay? But again, we didn't talk about politics, so I'm going to move on. You will not hear me mention it again, except for to remind you to take care of yourself. To the parents, last week I talked about how these kids were eating with their summer stomachs, and they are. I mean, there's no dispute about that. The fact that kids, will mix things that don't make sense, and then all of a sudden get to school and their stomachs are hurting. They can't stay in school because they're just so sick. It's coming to an end. Parents, we are holding on by a thread, and it's time for to tag the teachers in. But while you're tagging the teachers in, I want you to support your teachers. I was online the other day, and I was seeing about the conversations about the teachers requiring the students to basically give all of their supplies that their parents have earned their money and paid their things for, and give it for community. I am totally against that. I'm telling you right now, I'm totally against it. I'm all for parents coming together and supplementing some of those supplies, meaning put a couple extra things things that you can, a couple extra pieces. You can go to the dollar store, you can go to wherever, Five Below. And, I'm more of a bougie girl, so I'm going to be at the Target. Me and Tarjay, we go together. I picked up my 2 younger kids' supplies all at one fell swoop. And you know what? It's a blessing to be able to say that, because there are parents that can't afford. But I don't agree with taking the stuff that my child requested or certain specific things for them and giving it to the community. I think that as parents, we can come together and make a supplement so that we can supplement some other students who can't afford it. But here's my problem. Parents, you've known all this time that the school year was going to start back up, okay? You've known this for some time. You knew from the last day of school when school was going to start again the next year. So the fact that there's no school supplies is problematic, okay? Here's the other part. Most people live in areas by which they have book bag giveaways, supply giveaways. I need you to take care of that. Third, and I know I'm going to step on some toes here. Here's the thing. If you can get your hair done, if you can get your nails done, if you can get you a pedicure, if you can go hang out with your girlfriends, you can go drinking and hanging out at the bar, you can go buy some school supplies. I'm not telling you that school supplies are cheap. Like, I am not telling you that school supplies are cheap. Let me be first one to say they are not cheap, okay? And it just depends on where you go. Can you get cheaper options? Yes. 3 weeks ago, I saw that the dollar store near my house had already put out their school supplies. Now, what I should have done to been smart was to go there first, like I said I was going to do, and then go to like my Target. But did I do that? I'm here to tell you I didn't. School supplies are expensive, and God knows the more children you have, the more people you got to, do all the things for. Yeah, it becomes more expensive. I spent $155.16. I had to pull up the app to see how much I spent, and that's only for the 2 younger. I still got a high schooler. Okay, that's going into 10th grade. So I still have to yet buy. I also decided to buy book bags and things for my nieces. Here's the thing. I prepared myself for that, right? Because I knew they were going to go back to school. Now, the extra things for me was to do for my nieces, but to me, that ain't extra because, see, I'm the extra aunt. And so I'm going to make sure everybody has all the things. I'm going to reach out to the parents. Hey, what is it that I can get? How can I help? Right? And so again, I just say that the parents need to do a better job of doing better. But if a teacher came to me and told me that all the things that I bought my children was going to go to the community, when I tell you I wouldn't even buy cute stuff, I just wouldn't. And number two, I definitely would fight it. I would be like, listen, what can I do to give you supplies so my child can keep theirs? I'll give you supplies for each kid, a full set of supplies if you allow my kids to keep theirs. Now, prayerfully, blessedly, my kids do go to private school. They don't have that issues. Most of them kids probably got stuff that got their name glittered on it or something. And here I am like, oh, we just got you a cute little trapper keeper or a binder. And here they got stuff that probably talks to them. And that's fine. I'm going to buy what I can buy. And I'm going to buy what I can afford and keep it pushing. But when it comes to school supplies, yeah, I want my daughter, my youngest, like I want her to have her little purple and things that she likes. My son likes mechanical pencils versus regular. So I sent him with mechanical pencils, lead for those mechanical pencils, and regular pencils. You know why? Because if he runs out, I don't need him trying to figure out how to put the mechanical lead in there and then it's a thing and he don't have a pencil. So I send both. But that's his preference. He just happens to be blessed to be able to have a preference and me to be able to afford it. And I praise the Lord every single day for it. So when I saw that online, it was happening on TikTok. I was like, what is going on? Let's fast forward to today's conversation about mental health and relationships. Your well-being, your wellness, how you take care of yourself, how you show up for yourself, and your relationship go hand in hand. If you're on TikTok, because that's where I get a lot of my social stories from, is when you're on TikTok and you hear these triad wives, where I believe that they're Mormon, or most of them are Mormon, but regardless if they're Mormon or not, it's the concept where the husband works, the wife stays at home, and she takes care of all the things. And it's usually not just, because I've been a stay-at-home mom for years, okay? I had and still have access to my husband's all the things while I still have access to mine. But when I first started being a stay-at-home wife, stay-at-home mom, it was out of necessity, okay? For me, I can only speak for myself. It was out of necessity. I had my daughter during the midst of the financial crisis, so it was a downsize that happened for me at my job. I ended up leaving Lancaster to come to Philadelphia to move in with my husband and his mother, which I would strongly say don't ever do. And I'm sure for various reasons. And if you are a follower of the blog, you know where I played my part, where all the parts were played. But I'm telling you, for your own well-being, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. However, with doing that, I found out almost the day that I moved in here that I was actually pregnant with another baby while I had a 2-year-old. So my daughter was 2. I have a baby in my belly. And what are we doing here? So what I did was I stretched out my severance by basically using my husband, or I guess my fiance at the times. He would just give me his card, have access, whatever I needed, I had. Here's the problem with triad wives. 95 or 98% of them do not have an income of their own that they can control. What do I mean by that? They are not bringing in money that of their own. Their husband is like, I'll take care of all the bills. I'll take care of you. I'll take care of the kids. And then you basically become the nanny, the cook, the chef, the Uber, and in this particular story that I saw on TikTok, the woman gave up Julliard to be with this man only to turn around and have, I say, 8 kids from the ages of 12, and her youngest is 7 months. So she's basically been having kids as long as they've been together. And I'm like, girl, no. And so he does all the things, he buys all the things, but in her particular situation, in her particular story, he also controls what she can and cannot do. She couldn't even get an epidural during her pregnancies. Now, I mentioned she had 8 children. She had to have them. She had, according to her level of religion, according to her level of, that's my man, she decided to allow him to say, you can't get an epidural. Let me just say, for me, and I know my situation differs from everybody else, but who you align with matters. I'm going to just go out on a limb and say that my husband and I would not be together to this day had he come and told me I could not get an epidural, because until he's laying down on that table to have them babies, you don't get to tell me how I get to manage the pain that comes from my body. It's just not one of those things. But I do understand that there are plenty of women who allow their husbands to take full and total control. Here's the thing. If you listen to me, you would think that I'm not submissive, or you would think that my husband doesn't lead in the way. Like, I believe in following him and allowing him to do his thing. But sis, I'm gonna be on the sidelines, but hey, I think there's a better way to do that. I think we can get some money by doing certain things. I think we should like pull back on this, and I think we should do this because my husband respects me and I respect him. So we have a partnership, right? Remember when Will Smith and Jada was talking about we're partners and everybody went up into a whim? If you don't have a partner, you, my friend, will ride into the sunset of having different aspects of this triad wife, okay? Triad wife. You will run into aspects of it. I know plenty of single wives. I want to say that again. I know plenty of single wives because one, the wives want to either take over and they don't want to let the husband intervene and to do anything because he don't do it the same way that wife does it. That's one part of it. The other part of it is that husband is like, well, as long as I'm providing, when I come home, I'm not helping you cook. I'm not helping you clean. You should have been doing all that while I was there. And that's when I have to say, pump the brakes. The other story that I saw online was about this man talking about when your husband is the main breadwinner and he's making his 6 figures and you're at home taking care of all the things, okay? And you're doing all these things. There's a level of resentment if he feels like he's the one taking care of all the things, even if he sees that you're taking care of the kids. Because I'm going to tell you right now, any man that's telling you that taking care of a kid is easy because you just sitting on your ass all day, I would just love to know who you think you are. Because when I was a stay-at-home mom, as efficient as I am in life, I was efficient as a stay-at-home mom. We had Tuesdays and Thursdays, we would take a field trip, whether that was Gymboree classes for music, whether that was going to Barnes & Nobles for story time. We had a field trip. We may have went to the zoo. We did different things on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Monday, Wednesday, Fridays was like a day where, again, I may have gotten the house together. I spent time on quote-unquote curriculum because I believe I was my child's first teacher. So I didn't put it all on my kids' teachers to do the work, right? So that means that we were learning things, our ABCs, our 1, 2, 3s. We were watching educational programming. I had lunch down to a T. I had all the things down to the T. I took being a stay-at-home mom very serious. So at no point was I sitting on my ass doing nothing, okay? At no point. So when men say that, you know that they're not right. Like, you already should know in your spirit, like something in your spirit should already tell you that man's not rap tight, okay? But who you align with, who you get in a relationship when it comes to how you take care of yourself matters. In the story on TikTok, this woman who again was supposed to be going to Julliard, you know everybody don't get into Julliard. I don't care how many times you done twisted and run your little behind in front of your mama's coffee club and book club group members. Everybody ain't going to Julliard, okay? I know everybody's spirit want to go to Julliard, and it'd be great if we could just put everybody in there, but it's so prestigious that they have to have standards and everybody ain't getting in. So because everybody's not getting in, the fact that she ended up getting in and then gave it up for him, all I can say is God bless you. God bless you. Because I don't know. Again, I know it's easier for me as a person on the outside, listening to the story, having my own thoughts and processes about it to make a decision and say, I could never. But for me, my education has been the staple of how I do things and the way I can move in this world. And that's just for me. Now, maybe for everybody else, they do what they do, how they do, and they just, it's whatever. But for me, it's very important. How can I tell my daughters? For me, this is just my personal stance because I know plenty of people who didn't go to college, who encouraged their kids to go to college and make something of themselves, okay? Again, I was one of those people. My mom, she got her associate's degree I'll not say way, but after, later in life. And this was after I had graduated from college. And although they went to dental school and they did all these different things, I was still the first college graduate on my mother's side. Okay? So being the first college graduate on my mother's side, she always encouraged me to stay into higher education, even though she may not have had the certain degrees that she wanted to have. But I recognized even as a young kid, because my mother told me, she used to tell me all the time, girl, I see you out here working, you're staying up late till 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, you're getting a couple hours of sleep and you're getting back up and hitting those books all over again, because I was in the International Baccalaureate program. We had things to do. My caseload or workload was high. It was higher than even the pre-college kids, okay? Even the AP kids, because I was taking AP and IB. It was hard out here for a pimp. So out here trying to get my education, my mom always told me, my dad always told me, if you work hard, this will be your key to get anywhere. And I was like, yes, open up the door, because I was ready. Okay, that's why I went to Penn State. One, because they paid me a good scholarship, gave me a good scholarship, praise the Lord. And then the other part was it was 2 hours away, so my parents couldn't do the pop up, but they would be close enough, something happened, they can get to me. That was my decision, okay? Who you align with will determine how well you are able to take care of yourself. There are women right now who are listening to this podcast and they can say an amen in their spirit where they on a bike rolling up them clothes that their husband have made because he ain't contributing because they're supposed to clean all the things. And if you are married to somebody who doesn't believe in the fact that you need to take a break every now and again, the fact that you need to take care of you and go get your nails done, or hey, maybe nails ain't your thing because it ain't everybody's, right? It's just me. That's just me. I love a good nail appointment, right? But if you have a mate who doesn't feel like it's a blessing for you to go and say, I'm taking a girls' weekend. This past weekend, I went to Broccoli City Festival. If you don't know what that is, it's the most amazing music, culture. It just has all kind of different brands that come together. It was just amazing, okay? And while I won't say no we, because it wasn't no we, while I was at this event, it felt good to just take a solo trip and enjoy myself. But could I have done that if I'm in a triad situation or triad, whatever, however you say it? If you're in a situation where you're coupled up with somebody who don't agree with the fact that you should take a break, how was I going to get out the house and go do that? Because he ain't going to quote unquote watch his own kids. Here's the thing. I've always hated when somebody said, who'd you get to watch your kids? Your husband? I didn't get my husband to watch my kids. I left my husband with his own kids and I went out to do what I was going to do. Okay, I didn't lay down there and help make it myself. So therefore, there has to be two to tango. There got to be two to do the work. But we already know that some men feel it's beneath them in a woman's work. But it's amazing how it's a woman's work, but you'll get mad because that woman is fed up and tired of doing her work because she's not getting no help and no appreciation. That's one of the biggest reasons as to why your mental health is going to be dependent upon who you align with. Can you be mentally stable? Can you be mentally healthy being in a situation or a relationship that is draining you? You can survive it, yes, but you will never excel in it if you're still being combined and being intertwined with somebody who gives no left fucks about your mental health. I'm sorry to say it that way, but that's just the way it is. If you're in a relationship and in alignment with somebody who doesn't care about you needing a break or you needing to rejuvenate for you to fill your own cup and believes that you are only in servitude to him, my God, the only prayer I can pray is for God to deliver you from different ways. Lord, take him and leave you with the insurance money. Lord, allow you to see your worth and get the heck up out of Dodge and allow you to have the resources to do so. Because here's the thing. When you allow your spouse to run all the things financially and you don't bring anything in, they will eventually, like the person said on TikTok, resent you. Here's what I've always said about women, and this is something that even I had to learn. Because again, I started to get a little comfortable. You get comfortable like, well, my man got it. Like, I can just swipe his card. I ain't got to worry about it. But it burns a hole in you if you've ever been independent. Like, I've always held a job. I've been working since I was like 16 on an official job, but 14, I started doing things like cleaning houses and like making money and babysitting and doing my thing. So I don't know what it's like to just sit around and let somebody else just do all the things. Now, when I became a quote unquote accustomed to it, as comfortable as it feels, or it felt, I should say felt, because I'm out here getting my coin. As comfortable as it felt, it always was a place of contention. The worst arguments that my husband and I have ever had has always been about money or his mama or the kids. It's always been something like that. But I'm going to tell you right, the number one reason we've had arguments have been about money. Because if he's out there running around here out here getting it and he's struggling to some point to make sure we have other things, or even if he has it and it's like I'm sitting around and I'm not contributing, your husband's going to resent you. Now, I know there's some women that's going to say, now, Miss Ma'am, now, Toy, you know that that's not okay to say because my husband respects me. He loves on me. He does all the things. And to you, I say you are a rarity. Because there's plenty of men that do all the paying. There's plenty of men that don't mind taking care of all the bills. But if they're doing it and you aren't bringing in something in, I'm just telling you, just out of the bottom of my spirit, that you might want to decide if this is something you want to continue in. Because when that man gets sick and tired of watching you go out and spend and swipe, and you're getting on their nerves because you're not contributing, I'm just going to be the bearer of bad news to say that I don't want to say I told you so, but I'm just telling you, you might want to revisit. You just might want to revisit. That's just my suggestion. You might want to revisit that. When my husband was like, are you going to go back to work? You're going to go back to work? You're going to go back to work? I don't think it was, again, let me be honest with you. He didn't say it right. And there was many days when I was like, Lord, it's going to be fight. Because I'm not one of those ones that people can talk ignorantly. Like, I know there's husbands that be talking to their wives at the side of their neck, but I ain't the one. Okay. Now, I am not the one to say that I'm going to beat my husband up and I'm going to do all this stuff. That's not it. But my mouth is sharp. And the reason why my mouth is sharp is because I've seen the world. I've been to college. I've done things. I've traveled. Like, you can't just run up on me and just start telling me, like, you can't talk to me like that. Because it's going to make me step a step back. But when I get my footing back together and I pull back up, we got to have a conversation. We just not going to let you say what you're going to say. Like, I'm going to give you respect, but you're going to have to give it back. Like, you can't just be like, I'm the king and beat your chest as you grown and then talk to me and then say, because I have 3 kids, but I'm Charles and Rhonda Allen's child, but I'm not a child to them. I am their child, right? Meaning I came from them, their relationship and all the things. However, I am not a child, so we can't talk to people disrespectfully. We got to use our, you tell children, use your indoor voices, but we got to tell some of these husbands to use your indoor voice, because who are we talking to out here in these streets? But when they pay for stuff and when they're doing all the things, I promise you they think they can talk to you like that. And I'm not telling you that they should. And I'm not telling you to get in your husband's face if you know your husband's violent and you know he's going to hit you to the white meat. First of all, I need you to get a plan. But get a plan, because it's time to get the heck out of Dodge. But in the same breath, who you align with will mess up your self-care and your mental health. Do you know that there are women who are bound by their husband due to financial constraints and they don't feel like they have a way? I need you to go get a job. I don't care what you do. I need you to get a job. And I'm the type of person, I'm going to tell you this. I worked a 3rd shift job at one point. At one point, I was working a 3rd shift and a 1st shift. We had gotten into some money things. We needed to get some money cleared up and make sure we were good. I went to work 3rd shift. And it wasn't no easy job. Like, anybody that's working 3rd shift, you ain't out there twitting your fingers. If you working 3rd shift, you working, okay? So I would get off of work, come home, get a few hours of sleep only to get up, make sure the kids were good, and then, continue on with my day. But I did it because I got to make my own money. Like, I've got to do that. And once I tasted it, like once I got back into the working field, because it's not easy for women to get out there, because we've had so many, even with a college degree, there was so much space in between the time that I stopped working and then the time that I had, I was pregnant with my 2nd child. Then I ended up going back to work. And in the celebration of us going back to work and me not being responsible over my own personal fertility, and we're going to get into that, we ended up getting pregnant with this 3rd one. I ended up going back to work, and it was like a teeter and totter, like trying to get back into the field, trying to get all these different things. But once I got in the door, like once I started figuring this out, like once I started figuring out how to monetize my blog, once I figured out like, oh, there's money to be made on the internet. That's why I say you can make money in different ways. You might not be able to do a 3rd shift like I did. Maybe you can find something to do on the internet where you're making a good coin. Like, I need you to be strong in that, but I need you to work it like it's a full-time job, because I need you to get some deliverance. And if you're okay with the status quo here, if you like it, my mom used to say, if you like it, I love it. But for me and many women like us, our mental health will be torn down by the partner that we are with. There was nothing good about the conversation that my husband and I had about money. I can promise you there was many days that I would have a conversation with him I remember one time I was having this conversation with him about money. And I was actually working. It was a part-time job, but I was actually working. But what happened was that the part-time job just wasn't enough. My part-time job money was going basically to daycare. And so I had to like reevaluate it. And that's really what pushed me to go start working 3rd shift, because I could alleviate the stance of having daycare. And once I alleviated the daycare, all the money that I was making became my own. Okay. That's the real reason why I worked 3rd shift. But the conversation I had, I remember many a day sitting in that car, crying my eyes out, and then having to go back into the office as if everything was okay, knowing how distraught this conversation was. And my husband has admitted to it that it wasn't the way that he wasn't talking right. Like, he might have been saying right things, but the way you package things, it does matter. And my husband, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to be honest, the same thing I told him. I don't think for 2 seconds that he didn't know he wasn't saying it right. I think that he didn't care, and I think he was just trying to get his point across. And because he had a point, he stuck it to me. And how hard is it me to say that? But it was the truth. But it was when I said, you know what? Let me take control. Let me get myself together. Let me figure this out, because I'm tired. First of all, I'm tired of hearing it. Okay. And so sometimes for me personally, this is just me. Sometimes I'll do stuff because I'm tired of hearing your mouth. And so I'll go ahead and do it. But anger will be my driving force. I have been working with my therapist to say that when you allow anger to be your driving force, you don't stay on it long. So I had to sometimes anger had to be the driving force. I remember one day going online and like so angry. It was midnight. I'm putting all these applications in, and then I put this one and I was like, this is the dream. Like, I could do this, I could do that, I could do this. And then I ended up getting it, right? But I had to ask God to help me through, like, once I had it, like, help me that the anger isn't sustaining so that I could sustain this. Right? So I could sustain this. So that was what I had to do. But who you align with, who you're in relationship with, I don't care what they, them, she, her, they, I don't care about none of them pronouns. It does not matter. If you are with somebody and connected with someone who is going to bring you down, because there are so many factors that go in when that resentment hits. If you want to know if your husband feels resentment, watch how he speaks to you. Watch the tone. My husband was starting to get to the point where I felt like our marriage might not have worked if I didn't do what I needed to do to take care of me. This had nothing to do by giving in to his request to finally go back to work, because it wasn't a situation where I was just like finally not going back to work. I do need to say this to men. I need you to understand, if you have a wife that's doing all the things and you're moving up the corporate ladder, I'm going to be the first person to tell you the only reason why, not the only reasons why, but a large majority of the reasons as to why you moved up that corporate ladder has to do with your skill sets and all the things. But it's because you don't have to worry about picking up them kids and taking care of them kids. Because if she's at home holding it down, it allows you the freedom that most stay-at-home mothers don't have. You can move up a corporate ladder because nobody is questioning you. I had a person when I worked for a organization, and this person was like, are you done having kids? Do you plan on having kids in the next 2 years? This was a question that, one, we already know is illegal to ask, okay? It's illegal, and morally, what the hell is wrong with people? Like, what was wrong with this person when they asked it? And yes, it was a man that asked it. It wasn't a woman, it was a man. But the reason why most men are able to fly and go up that corporate ladder a lot quicker than women sometimes has to do with the genitalia that's between their legs. And I hate to say it that way, but it is. Because nobody is questioning you about your commitment to the organization versus you deciding to also be a parent. Nobody is questioning these men about, what are you going to do to hold your family down? And can you be a good citizen here at our job? No, they don't assume that, because they assume that if that man has a child or a gang of kids, that means that somebody is holding it down and there should be no conversation about it. I only can tell you what I've experienced. And maybe for you, you have different perspective. And for you, I pray it is that way. But I'm going to tell you, a large majority of us women know good and damn well that a lot of times these men could clap these corporate ladders because somebody else is doing the dirty work while they get to come up with all the accolades. I had a full college degree. Do you understand me? A college degree. I wasn't sitting at home not having a degree. And here's the thing. I'm not coming at people who don't have one. I'm just telling you, if it's hard for me with a college degree, can you imagine what it's like for somebody else who's been at home all their life, who's been taking care of their kids, and that's all they know? Do you know how much harder it is for them to do what they need to do? I can surely attest to you that it ain't a walk in the park. Okay, it's not a walk in the park. But men don't ever really get questioned that. They don't get to question their commitment to, will they handle their responsibilities at corporate and also be a family guy? They don't even handle that. They think that dads are an accessory. I am telling you right now, I can't stress this enough. Even if you do an online job, even if you find a way to make money with a talent or some type of service that you can provide, I need you to dig that deep and go find that and go do that. I need you to find a way to provide. I'm telling you that you will feel better. And I'm telling you that either two things, you'll respect yourself enough that you'll start making your money, start clocking your money, start doing your thing. And then when it's time, you may decide to leave your spouse. And I'm not telling you that I'm telling you to do that. And I'm not telling you that I'm going to do that. I'm just telling you what I know. And I'm telling you that you need to do whatever, because here's the thing. When men hear women say that, she telling them to leave their husbands. Why are you making it so easy for a woman to want to leave your crusty ass? You're making them want to leave you because the way you talk to them ain't right, right? The way you're handling them is not right. You did all these cute little things when you was trying to get them. Now you got them and you're talking to them like they one of your kids. I'm a firm believer. It's something that is just deep in my spirit. It's one of the things, it's a trigger for me. If you start talking down to me instead of we have a conversation and we're talking about things one to another, and me giving you that same energy, making sure that I don't disrespect you, I promise you I'm going to shut off. My shutdown is strong, and I can't do it. And God bless to the women that just allow their husbands to embarrass them in front of company and grip them in public. Like, I can only pray for your strength, for your survival, because I'm telling you right now, I just don't know. I mean, in my spirit, I just hope that that's not something that I would just be willing to just eat. I would just hope that I'm not willing to eat that, because there's nothing I could tell my daughters when they get into another situation if I can't do what I need to do. Right? So who you're with, if the person that you're with is tearing you down with their words, if they're making you feel like you don't matter, if they're telling you, well, I'm paying the bill so you don't have any say, there's nothing about you that's going to feel like, yay, my husband's taking care of everything. It's all good. No. You will have more moments of tears than you will have joy of being that same person, because you know deep down inside you chose this. You chose this. Unless he beat you up to get you in the marriage, you chose it. And you chose it to your own detriment. This is why it matters who you marry, who you girlfriend and boyfriend with, especially if y'all calling yourselves living together. You better know and count up the cost, because living together and combining finances and combining lives and lifestyle ain't as easy as it looks on these television and shows and stuff. But who you with can make you propel and be excited about life, and can make you become better at taking care of you and loving on you and making sure that you can love on your children. I'm telling you, I know for a fact that your oldest daughter saved my life. It was through watching some of my responses at the time before I started going to therapy, where again, I was short with this child. Again, I just want to say she was 1 or 2. Why? Because it doesn't make any sense. But she saved me, because once I started seeing that, I began to do the work. Now, I had gotten parenting classes before she was born, which helped me greatly. But there was a level of needing some therapy. And I was like, sign me up. Eventually, I was like, thank you, Jesus, for signing me up. Because the way that man treats his wife is the way that woman is going to treat her children, because they become the same level of punching bag that husband is to that wife, or that wife is to that husband. So how you men that's talking about hitting yourself in the chest because you so grown and you paying all the bills and you big daddy because you got it all under control and you can take care of your family, I need you to understand that the way that you talk to your wife will correlate in how she deals with you and your children. And very much your children, because they're defenseless. She can't get a word out edgewise because you cut her off and you make her feel like she doesn't matter. But when it comes to your children, if you want your children to have problems, keep talking to your wife like she's crazy. And wives, I am not advocating for you to leave your husband. I'm not telling you to leave your husband. You cannot come and stay with me talking about I told you nothing, because I'm going to tell you right now, we ain't got no room in the inn. I'm trying to get a different house. We ain't got time for that. I can't help you. I can pray for you and I can tell you, give you some resources, but that's about all I can give. I'm telling you, you got to make a decision for yourself, and you got to figure out, how can I take care of me in this season? And I'm telling you, it may start with just bringing in your own money. The problem with that is there's some men that when they discover their wives are making money, they so raggedy that they'll take the money. Me and my husband do not have a joint account. Now, I'm not telling you that's bad to have a joint account, because if you have a joint account and it works for you, who am I to tell you that it's wrong? Just like if you feel like me having separate accounts is wrong, who are you to tell me that it's wrong? It works for us. Me and my husband don't have joint accounts. We have separate accounts. And if something needs to be had, we can transfer between the one or another if something needs to be paid or taken care of. I like it that way. He is definitely affirming me in that way. My husband, what I will say is that he does help to make sure, like, he wants me to have my own money. He wants me to have all those things. But I will say he wanted it back then. It's just that his delivery was off. And that was going to cause us to be in Divorceville probably more than we probably can admit to. But I can admit to it. We was about to be out of here. I was about to be out because I can't do it. Be careful of who you get in a relationship with. You better, when you go to date somebody and you start going around their people, you better start looking at that research. Some of y'all is getting it with these people. You ain't been with them these all seasons. You ain't been with this person all seasons because you have never seen what it's like when that person loses a job before you get married to them. Because how that person remains and acts when they lose that job and how ignorant, rude, and dry and off that they talk to you is who they really are. I'm just putting it out there. But you better be careful because who you get along with, who you line with, who you get in your relationship with is going to matter. And I'm telling you it's going to matter. So don't get yourself in a situation by not doing your research, not coming to the I heard somebody talking about this whole coming to the table. And most of the men who have this argument about what somebody's bringing to the table can't even fix the table if it's broken. Couldn't even fix the table. They ain't seen a screwdriver lately. Can't fix a damn thing, but worrying about what you bringing to the table. All I'm going to tell you is whatever table you align with or whoever table you sit with at that table, make sure you two are equally yoked. And it's more than just spiritual. I went to church my whole life and they tell you don't be unequally yoked. You can't be with somebody that's not the same religion. That's true. You should be with somebody that has the same religion for the most part. But you better figure out if you're equally yoked about how you raise your kids, how you do discipline, how they want to do things as your kids get older and they want to, spread their wings and become, these budding adults. You better be sure who you anchor with, because when you anchor with the wrong person, not only is a detriment to the family that you make, but it's going to be a detriment to you. Your mental health is going to be on a long break. It's going to be a long road to recovery because you're along with the wrong person, or you got to get the right person to get themselves together. But while they're getting themselves together, you can only worry about you. The biggest lesson one of my therapists ever said was getting you together and focusing on you will be your greatest asset. Because you'll start taking care of yourself. You'll start going to the gym. You'll start getting rejuvenated. You'll start doing all the things. And whatever happens from that, meaning if your spouse is on board to making sure that they are in line and are happy to see you happy, you'll be okay. But if it doesn't, you baby girl, you just got to be prepared. Because you cannot be with somebody who is dragging you down. I know a friend who was with someone and that person mentally was bringing them down so much that that person's joy began to change because of the person that they were married to. And I am telling you that I've been there, done that. I got a t-shirt and a banner. And I'm telling you that you have got to be careful who you align with. Your mental health is counting on you to be there for you in the best way you can. Your mental health needs you to do the right thing to take care and protect you. All right, well, that is today's episode. Again, I need you to read Evolving While Black, because that's on my heart. That's what I've been reading. Take a break for your posts, all this political commentary and shows. I don't watch the news inside of my house. A lot of my things that I'm going to go to the source. I may be on social media. I may see something that drops, but I also will go back and verify it from what I saw, because again, everything that you see ain't really it. Be sure before you go to share something, make sure that you have read all the things, just be careful with that. And again, make sure that you take care of yourself. One of the things that I would say that helped me was, again, going to therapy. I went to therapy. I started to work. I started to get myself together. I started to hit the gym. I just started to pour back into my cup. And I believe that has made our relationship, or my personal relationship with myself, amazing, and has made my relationship with my husband stronger. But what if for whatever reason I start to take care of myself, I start to do the things for myself, and my husband's going left and he doesn't like it, and so now I have asked myself, my therapist has asked me this question, and my question and my answer still remains. I still have to take care of me. My joy cannot be dependent upon my husband. It cannot be the only cup which I get my joy from. Although I do love him lots, it cannot be the only cup. I'm learning to pour into my own cup daily. It's more beyond just what I do as a content creator. It's about taking more time for me, saying no more, and also being honest about what I feel. I'm disappointed by your actions. I didn't like how you said that. Your delivery was wrong, and I don't like the way that you said that. You might find a different way, a more poetic way to say that, because if you say somebody is wrong, then of course that becomes a thing, and you might have to find your words. But speaking up for yourself will be my biggest help. I don't have to get, my husband don't get into a lot of battles. We do get into some. Now, when we do get into them, we get into them. But most of the time, we don't have these huge arguments. But we do have them, then we have them like most couples. Everybody has a thing. But for the most part, I've been pouring into my cup and taking care of me, saying yes to me. Because aren't I not worth it? I can't just be somebody's wife. Beyonce said it. Don't think of me just his little wife. Like, I'm not just my husband's wife. I am LaToy. I love to do the things that make me happy. And those things don't always align with my husband. Some of the things that I like, he don't even like. Like, I like eating outside. I like to feel the weather on me. I like to be outside just to be outside. I like heat. So I could go to Phoenix, Arizona, where it could be 105 and be good. And I actually have done that. He wouldn't do that. That's not something that he would do. But we do meet each other that even though he may not like the things that I like, if I ask him to do something, he would do it. But we have mutual respect. We have to grow in that, okay? Because I might love him. We've known each other for 25 years, and today is our wedding anniversary, 12 years. But we had to grow in that. This is why I'm telling you, stop jumping into these marriages so quickly, because there's so much work to be done before you just jump into them. I don't have a struggle love. I will say we've had our moments, and there have been things that we've had to overcome, but I don't believe our story has ever been a struggle story. One thing I can say, I've heard a lot of struggle love stories. That's not our story. Our story is that we've had some things that we've had to overcome, but it wasn't no struggle love. But 25 years, and today is our 12th wedding anniversary. So to my husband, I'm sure he's usually listening to him. He always posts all my things. When I post something, he will repost it, he reshares it without a problem. I don't even have to ask. He's well social media trained, but because he listens to all the things that I do and he supports the things that I do, I want to say happy anniversary because I know you'll listen. And so make sure that you hear me say happy anniversary. So everybody else, please take care of yourself this weekend. Parents, I know we're in our back to school. Take your time, get all the things. Get what you can afford. Help them teachers out. Send a couple things here and there, back and forth to them teachers, because y'all not finna take, you teachers ain't taking my kids' stuff. But thankfully, I pray that that's not your case. For me, it's not. I hope you have a great weekend. I will be back with you next week. I am so overjoyed by the energy. I'm so overjoyed by the love and the reception that you have been giving me. Follow me on the blog. In the show notes, I leave all kind of breadcrumbs to all kind of different things. So go in the show notes, read a couple things. I leave blogs. I leave a little couple of things and a lot of things about what we're talking about. I will drop them in the podcast show notes. So just go ahead and click. I know y'all love to be clickable. It is. I'm also still going to put a link for Evolving While Black. For Keontae Lomax's book, and I appreciate you loving on me, loving with me, and going with this journey. We have been on a journey. These episodes are going to get tighter. And again, we got new sessions. We got things that I'm talking about, things that I'm reading, things and all the things. I just want to wish you well. We talked about the stuff that was happening in the internet streets because these stories this week actually happen to be about our mental health. Because again, I can't stress enough, who you're with will tell you and depict about how high your mental health will go. I am sending all the love to all the people, men and women, who are in these relationships that, again, they can't climb because the person that they're with is like a crab in a box and is trying to pull them down. I send immediate peace to your situation, and I pray for you, and I'm sending you love, and I'm hoping you're doing well. That is it for this episode. We'll be back next week, and thank you for listening to Conversations with Toy.
Thank you as always for joining me, and I know that even in the deepest or joyful conversations that there's something we can learn and apply. Until next time, I hope that you are doing better. If not, we will be back to talk some more and handle it. Peace to you and yours. Stay grounded.